Here I'll do an example of cosine, where all four numbers have changed, the a, the b, the c, the d from the lecture. So remember, the amplitude is that number that's directly in front of the trig function. So in this case, 4 is my amplitude. And the midline is simply, remember, could be out in front, added or subtracted, but in this case, it's being subtracted at the end, so -1. So I could immediately put -1 for our midline. I just like to draw in a dotted line, an imaginary number. And then I'm going to go up and down 4. So if I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, I will be at a maximum of 3. And if I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, I will be at a minimum of -5. And then the b value in this case is 3. And for sines and cosines, you do 2 pi divided by 3, which is already reduced. And then you're going to do 2 pi over 3 divided by 4, which is like 2 pi over 3 times 1 over 4, which is 2 pi over 12. That would reduce to pi over 6. So we're going to have a space of pi over 6 between all of our critical values. And then the last thing here is the phase shift. So we're going to go 3x plus pi over 2 and subtract the pi over 2, then divide by 3. And when you do this, remember that's like multiplying by 1/3, and so I get negative pi over 6. And so my critical values are spaced every pi over 6, but I'm going to start, because of the phase shift, I'm going to start left pi over 6. So if I make a mark over here at negative pi over 6, then to do my critical values, I'm going to just add pi over 6. Now these two numbers work very nicely together, and so if you take negative pi over 6 and you add a pi over 6, you'll land on the y-axis or at 0. Then you add another pi over 6. Now you might want to start using a calculator, and if you add 1 over 6 plus 1 over 6, you get 2 pi over 6, which would reduce to pi over 3. And then 2 pi over 6 plus another pi over 6 would be 3 pi over 6, which would be a half. And then if you add another one, you get 4 pi over 6, which would be reduced 2 pi over 3. And so, like I said, if we were on the calculator, you start at negative 1 over 6, and you add 1 over 6. That's how we got 0. And then we added 1 over 6. You can hit math enter to get your fraction, so 1 over 6. And then we added another 1 over 6. And so that's a third. And then we added another 1 over 6. That's where the half comes from, pi over 2. And then the last one we added 1 over 6. And we had math enter, and that's where the 2/3 or 2 pi over 3 comes from. And so then remember, we're doing a cosine curve. And so the first critical value is over here, so we have to start over here. And cosine wants to start at a maximum. And then the next critical value is the y-axis, or that 0. So we're going to be at the, then we'll be, see, I made a mistake there because I went to the x-axis rather than going to the midline. And then you want to go all the way down to the minimum. Then you go back up to the midline. And then you will be at a maximum here. So I guess I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did not need this one. I only need 5 critical values. So then this will come down here and up there. So for my class, we just want to do 5 critical values. And then if somebody needs more, you can easily keep the pattern going forward or backward.